ReBoot's producer, Christopher Brove, described the show in an interview as imbuing mythology into technology. Besides being cool because it rhymes, it greatly encapsulates a lot of what makes this series so interesting and entertaining. And what do all good mythologies need? A beginning, of course. This is it. The beginning of the saga that is ReBoot, as we are introduced to the place, the people, and the powerful tales to come. All aboard for episode 1.
He's trash! He's trash, yeah!
I don't think so.
I hate when this happens. It's like a reckoning. It's your fault, and I hate
my arm. Where's my arm?
Sorry, guys. End program. Better luck next cycle.
Bob, all I ask is a simple favor, and you put us through all this. Why?
Because I never do favors for slime? I don't know. It's just a theory.
You're only making things difficult for your friends.
My friends? What do they have to do with anything?
Think about it.
The Tearing was written by Mark Hoffmeyer, with story by Lane Richert and Mark Hoffmeyer. The main cast for this tale includes Michael Benier as Bob, Kathleen Barr as Dot, Jesse Moss as Enzo, Tony J as Megabyte, Phil Hayes as Hack, Gary Chalk as Slash, and Michael Donovan as Cecil and Fawn. Our story begins in media res, as Guardian Bob is chased by Megabyte's earnest but bumbling henchmen Hack and Slash. The personnel carriers they're riding on are called ABCs, or Armored Binome Carriers. This is a sleeper joke, and I'll elaborate on this much later. Hack and Slash show their low clock speeds, as it were, as they collide into each other, and references like that continue. The characters replace common expressions with computerisms in their lingo. It makes perfect sense. That's their world. Anyways, after our opening scene, we get a decently rare moment in Bob's apartment, where we see him wake up, take a shower of sorts, before being treated to a visual gag. And those happen a lot.
Bob, we need you at Dots! It's terrible!
There's a new one. Dots is down.
As we scene shift to Dot's diner, what becomes the hub of our main characters for the early episodes, Bob sees that Megabyte's goons have trashed the diner, seemingly just to get at Bob. We still don't know what this little favor is at this point either. And we meet Frisket, Enzo's dog. He doesn't like Bob at all.
Ever heard of a door?
Ever heard of a frisket?
Bob! We tried to quit Phylum, dude, but it was seriously default. A major surge of goons showed up at the diner and started to completely offline the place. I mean, jack out, crash, crunch, backslash, delete, trash, log off.
Enzo.
What?
I think Bob gets the picture.
That's for sure.
Enzo knocking over Bob and rambling on is also something we shall see repeatedly. When Bob mentions the favor to those in the wrecked restaurant, Cecil, the French waiter robot, suggests that he do it, but Dot and the others tell him to adamantly refuse. Megabyte is a virus, after all, and he's not to be trusted. They also tell him that mainframers stick together. As they are talking, a vid window pops up with Megabyte on screen so he can chat with them. These vid windows, which we have already seen this episode and will see countless times to come, mimics the pop-up windows on actual computers. It's just one of the countless clever references to the real world the series makes. And in-universe, these windows allow for instant long-range communication. Anyways, as their dialogue continues and Bob tells Megabyte that he won't bow to him, something occurs. Something that shall become an iconic moment in each episode it happens in.
I'm staying right here to make sure nothing else happens. I may be the new sprite in town, but...
What a fortunate return of events.
Warning, incoming game. Warning, incoming game.
As usual, they'll all do so badly inside the game. How gratifying.
A terrifying occurrence for them, even as the audience understands that this is the mundane activity of someone playing a computer game. Ironically, games are serious business to the inhabitants of Mainframe, because losing carries very serious consequences. Bob rushes off to get into the game to help whatever other poor fools got stuck in it, but Megabyte's forces manage to stonewall him. Literally. Bob runs smack dab into the side of one of the carriers. Dot rescues him, but he is too late to get in the game, and without Bob to help, things go badly.
No! No! No!
Can they win without Bob?
I hope.
Game over. User wins. Game over. User wins.
The whole sector's nullified! Offline!
They lost!
Well, it wasn't your fault.
Bob blames himself for what has occurred, and seems ready to storm off to knock on Megabyte's front door. But instead, Dot advises that Bob see Fawn. Thus, in the next scene, Bob travels to the principal office, the central hub of all of Mainframe. Fawn is the command.com of Mainframe, in charge of the system's administrative tasks. We will be in this building many times throughout the series, but for our first time here, we see a single room, and learn one of the oddities of Fawn. In order to gain his advice, you must beat him in a game. His game of choice? Pawn, of course. Bob beats him and asks him for advice on how to handle Megabyte, and Fawn tells him that Megabyte is very dangerous and clever, and reiterates Dot's point of sticking together as well. So what does Bob do? Marches to Megabyte's lair alone, of course. Quite reckless, but we shall see how it plays out. Bob, clearly faking it, tells Megabyte that he's willing to side with him, and Megabyte takes him down into the bowels of his lair. Our computerized dictator has brought Bob to a lockdown area of sorts, containing an anomaly called a tear, thus the name of the episode. Tears are volatile balls of energy, which can be stabilized into portals. Megabyte wants a portal to the supercomputer's armory. The only ways to stabilize this kind of tear is from a GameCube or a Guardian's key tool. Oh yeah, Bob's key tool. Its name is Glitch. Think of it like Inspector Gadget. It can do almost everything Bob needs it to do, at a simple voice command. Anyways, Megabyte asks him to stabilize said tear, and Bob tells him to shove it. And Megabyte basically forces him through the tear. Bob uses Glitch for the first time to convert it into a gate.
Glitch! Key! What are you trying to do? Erase me?
If necessary.
Glitch! There, now let's see you go through.
Now, Bob, must we go through all these dramatics again?
If necessary.
Before that could continue to unfold, Hack and Slash arrive holding Dot, who got herself captured, on purpose, by wandering into the lair's perimeter. While Megabyte turns to tell the two of them to take her away, Bob knocks over a console and breaks the containment field holding the tear in place. It causes mayhem, as various structures and viral binomes blow up when they touch the tear. Bob and Dot take off, but Megabyte, showing off his supernatural strength and speed, catches up to them with no effort. But what should arrive but another GameCube, right over Megabyte's lair. And here is our first game.
We've lost Alpha 4!
Look out!
That was easy enough. There he is!
Yeah, and it looks like he has some friends.
In this unnamed spaceflight game, Bob, Dot, and a few other binomes race against Megabyte, who infects the user's ship and uses it to get to the tear, which is now stabilized. And here, ReBoot shows one of its coolest visual elements. The GameCube allows the characters to take on new personas and transform Mainframe into brand new environments. It leaves the audience wondering each episode, where will they go this time? Anyways, dodging asteroids and an enemy battleship, Bob and Dot, losing their other allies, follow Megabyte into a snowy cave. Despite losing their own crafts in a dramatic flying scene, Bob reaches the portal first and ends the game.
Glitch! Disengage!
Game over.
It's unstable again. You want to see how much I hate to lose.
I'm back. Did you miss me?
The tear, it's gone. But how?
Just a little command I picked up at the armory. Like these two.
What are they?
You'll see, or maybe you won't. Adios!
It must have been a return command. They've gone back to the diner. Hurry!
Hidden file commands. You gotta love them.
In the final scene, we see Bob, Dot, and Enzo back at the diner as Enzo explains that Megabyte trashed the place again and left. And we get a comical look at the banged-up diner sign as our first episode ends. There's a lot to process here, haha, computer puns. But let's take this one step at a time. I can see the cheese shine through here. The Saturday morning feel starts to fade eventually in this series, but it's here. Megabyte's henchmen are all morons, especially Hack and Slash. The enormous battleship in the game gets killed by a single missile on a conveniently placed weak spot. There's a happy, slappy ending, and Megabyte gets handed the idiot ball at the end, being fooled by Bob, and then trashing the diner instead of killing everyone, or whatever. It feels like they hold Megabyte back for a lot of this season. The Batman animated series had a similar issue with the Joker, because they couldn't have him murder anyone. On the other hand, they do some really cool things narratively that I did not expect. They give the villains a few minor victories, like Bob failing to reach the first game, and despite foiling his plans, there is no sense that Megabyte himself was actually beaten. Quite the opposite, in fact. It seems that Megabyte is much too strong for Bob to handle head-on. That's really important, and it will keep him from getting villain decay, as is common in many animated shows geared towards kids. Not to mention all the amazing visual treats in the form of the games, the little visual gags, and real-world computer terms and sites. Is it flawless? No. And it's definitely stumbling around a little bit with its tone. But this is a solid start to the show. I give The Tearing 2 out of 3 fedoras.